Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Today I am working on a scrapbook page that has some mixed media, or specifically watercolor, involved. And you can see me here playing around mixing colors. I'm trying to get a color that is kind of a peachish pink and a little bit on the light side. And my palette there that I'm working with, it's the Gonzai Tombai Kuretake. I'm not sure I'm even pronouncing that right. I know Kuretake is right, but they run $30 to $40 on Amazon. Anyway, it does not have a light color that is this peachish, pinkish color. So I had to mix quite a few things, and it took me a little bit to do that. And I am working on a piece of paper that has been gessoed, and I left a lot of the mixed media in this because the rest of the layout is pretty simple. But when you're working with mixed media, especially with watercolor on paper like this, if you want it to flow like it is there and be able to squirt it with the water and soften the edges and stuff like that, you definitely really need to have some gesso on there. Otherwise, the paint just soaks right into the water, and it doesn't have that fluid movement that you see that I'm getting right there, blowing it around with my heat gun. And so I highly recommend using some gesso. I tend to use clear gesso just because a lot of times my white paper doesn't match up with the white of the gesso. I know there are a lot of people that use white gesso, and a lot of times they might even use it on colored background paper to kind of give it a faded whitewashed effect. And I do have white gesso. I just typically use the clear because I don't have to worry about it matching. Only thing is, when you use the clear, you have to make sure you put on a good coating and don't miss any of the spots. Otherwise, you'll have your paint soak into the little spaces where you don't have the gesso, and it gives it a different kind of a look to it. So I typically put it on with a credit card or a gift card, and I make sure I put it on. I actually sometimes even do 2 coats if I'm not sure I got all of it. So I'll do it a vertical swipe and then a horizontal swipe across all of the page to make sure I got a good coating on it. So that's going to allow all of those paints to sit on top of the paper. It's going to allow me to move them around with the water. So you see me putting the paint on the page with my brush, and sometimes that kind of leaves a little bit of a brush effect. It's not like paint with like acrylic where it's going on thick, but it definitely leaves a different look to it than if you spray it with the water. If you just give it a little spritz of water right after, it kind of softens everything and gets everything moving around a little bit. So those are the best tips that I have for you if you're interested in doing any watercolor mixed media type backgrounds on your layout. And I wanted this layout to be super soft looking and to have really soft edges. I am using a cut file there from Paige Evans, and that is one of her Disney cut files. It's the Minnie Mouse head, and prior to going on camera, I went ahead and backed all of the openings of the flowers and leaves that I wanted to go ahead and have color. So I did that off camera. There's a lot of videos out there that show you how to do that. There's several different ways to do it. So I encourage you to go and look those up if you don't know how to use a cut file or back it. Or you can shoot me a message down below, and I can always get back to you that way as well. So I wanted to add a little bit of yellow into this. There is a little bit of yellow. Well, there's not really a whole bunch of yellow in the photograph. It's a picture of me at Disneyland. It was on the magical, or it was on the creative day with Shamel. So I have a lot of pictures of myself there, and I don't typically scrapbook a lot of pictures of myself, but I wanted to make sure I document this occasion and the things that we were learning about taking pictures and whatnot. So that's why this is going in a book. So I don't have a ton of yellow in the picture. There is some yellow in the center of the flowers, and I just wanted to have that little soft edge and give it something different. So I'm autographing, not autographing anything. I'm auditioning different papers there to use as a border around my layout. The yellow was definitely not a winner, so I immediately set that aside. I do like this soft pink, but and I know I wanted to keep the layout really soft, but then I also wanted a little bit of a dramatic edge to it, so I knew I wanted to put some black on there. And so I go ahead and use that black piece of paper as a little bit of a border, and it's just a tiny bit. Oh, and you can see there the paper that I'm using, it's actually the back sheet out of the mixed media pad from Vicki Boutin. So it's not even really cardstock, and it's not really her mixed media paper, it's like the back sheet. It has the advertisement on the back and everything. And then I decided to go ahead and use this other piece of paper as a little bit of an edge, and it has all of those pinks in it and a little bit of that green that I used in the leaves, and so I thought it was the perfect addition. It gives a little definition or a stopping point to the edge of the layout, and I did put some black cardstock behind my photograph, so that gives a little bit of definition as well. And then I had some of these Disney die cuts. They're chipboard pieces. You can see the packaging right there. I have a whole bunch of these. I just have a big box of Disney stuff from when I did a lot of trips with my kids to Disney when they were younger. And so I have like leftover bits and pieces and things that I didn't use or things that friends gave me. And so I decided it's time to bust into those. I'm pulling out some bags here to put the pieces in that I am not going to use on this particular layout, so that they're contained in my iris bin that I'm using for all of those Disney things. And that's because the packaging is not going to be reusable. It's not like cellophane packaging where you can reseal it. And I just adhered the back of the package to the bag so I know what's inside of it. And then I'm going to use some of my Nuvo glue here to go ahead and glue everything down. My other bottle there is almost empty, so I just opened up a different bottle. And I love this glue. It dries clear. If you do get it on your layout, it does dry clear and it's pretty much matte. Sometimes you can see a little bit of the glue. Let it dry thoroughly. Don't try and get rid of it. Just, if you can take the excess off of its big chunks, but let it dry thoroughly and then use your adhesive eraser gently, and it usually comes up. I haven't had any problem with that. So I'm using these chipboard pieces just to kind of frame my photograph here on the lower right hand side, and to keep that diagonal flow from the floral element on the Minnie Mouse head and all the way down to the bottom right hand corner. And I really like how that's looking. And like I said, this is going to be a pretty simple layout. I'm actually not going to do the journaling on camera because I have so many layouts in this particular series of photos that some of the other layouts have the journaling included, and I didn't need to really put excess journaling on all of the pages, and I didn't really need to repeat myself. And I do find that I do repeat myself if I try to journal on every single layout in a series of photos. So if they're all from one event, I typically leave the journaling to the end, and then I'll go through and write my little story from beginning to end on those layouts wherever the journaling fits in, and that works much better for me. If it was just a one-off photograph, then I would go ahead and put the journaling on this particular page, but like I said, I've got a lot in this batch of photos from this particular day. I am using a little bit of foam adhesive. You can see a pink rectangle of it there on the left hand side. It's just fun foam from Walmart. Using some of that to lift some of the pieces. So these are chipboard pieces, so they're already thick, but I will be layering up like the little heart up there, so I need a little bit of foam underneath the tip of it that is not layered over the top of the other chipboard piece, so that it doesn't pop off in my page. So I'm pretty close to the end of the layout. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those down below. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And I appreciate the time that you've spent with me today. Like and subscribe if you will, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.